Hey there, Allison Scammell here, and we are in a 4-part series revealing the biggest false and hidden stories I hear from my clients. And we've reached part 2 of the series, and these are the stories we tell ourselves often without realizing it that come directly from our wounds and social conditioning. And this series is really an exploration into just how important it is to not only heal our wounds, but to decondition and rewrite the stories. So we're erasing the false stories, but not just forcing ourselves to think stories that we actually don't believe, but we're truly deconditioning our connection to the stories that aren't true, so that we can start living and being the truth of who we are and what we're meant to do in this lifetime. So the titles of the episodes in this series all reveal the true story. And today's episode is exploring It's Time to Let It All Out. So let's go ahead and get to it. In today's episode, I reveal the false story behind It's Time to Let It All Out, where this false story comes from, and how to spot when this false story may be playing in your life and blocking your efforts. We'll end on an invitation that will have you tapping into your full spiritual potential without holding back, so you can help your clients experience even more massive results and transformation. So please stay with me until the end. Hey, we're creating a global community of soul-guided leaders, coaches, healers, and entrepreneurs called the Soul Guide Circle. In the Soul Guide Circle, we're inviting in our spiritual gifts to get our clients even more results and transformation and create massive referral buzz. Find a link to join our closed Facebook group at AllisonScammell.com or in the show notes. All right, we're in part 2 of a 4-part series exploring the false stories we tell ourselves often without realizing it. And today we are exploring the false story behind It's Time to Let It All Out. And that false story is, I need to shut it down. I hear this all the time from my clients when I'm exploring with them their wounds and their blocks. And they just say, I need to shut it down. And what's it? It is my spiritual gifts, my spiritual power, my connection to the divine, the truth of who I truly am, my authentic being. I need to shut it all down because it's not safe. Where does this false story comes from? Well, it comes directly from the witch wound, which you've heard me talk about before. I recorded a whole podcast episode about it, and we'll link to that episode in the show notes. And this witch wound tells us that it's not safe to be a spiritual being in this world. It's not safe to express your spirituality. Because for thousands of years, the intuitives, the healers, the shamans, the lightworkers of the communities have been targeted by the powers that be that don't want us to access this power. Why? Because when we access this power, we cannot be controlled. And throughout history, the powers that be have always wanted to control us, to control the populations so that they can keep the power, maintain the power, be in power. And when we are fully accessing our spiritual gifts, it is hard to control us. And what is even almost more powerful than accessing our spiritual gifts is sharing them with others. And so that's why this social conditioning appeared that being a spiritual being is weird. It's out there. It's different. You're a non-conformist. And if you are a nonconformist, you will not fit in. And if you do not fit in, then you cannot survive. You must seek approval and receive approval from the tribe, the clan, the collective, the community in order to survive. And that is all simply false. False in the sense that we don't need to hide our spirituality to fit in and belong in the group. We can be our spiritual beings. And let me tell you, we can let it all out. And that's what I mean by it's time to let it all out. Let all of our spiritual power out. Let all of our soul power loose so that we can be the spiritual beings that we're here to be and make the impact that we're here to make. I saw an internet meme this morning that I had to save to my phone, and I don't do this very often. And the meme said, "Stop following the crowd. They are lost." And there's so much of that resonated with me. Stop following the crowd. They are lost. They are cut off from their spiritual power. They are conforming so that they can fit into the group because they fear not fitting into the group. It's our fear that's telling us, you better shut it down so that you can fit in. And there's never been a more important time in the history of humanity to let it all out, to be the spiritual person you're here to be, to connect with the divine, to share your spiritual occurrences and awakenings. Man, it's really come to light for me just how important it is to share our stories. We receive so much for ourselves when we share our stories. And then when I share my story with you and you share it back, your story with me, we both receive so much from each other's stories. This is part of spiritual growth and evolution. So yeah, we can live in the shadows and we can have this secret spiritual life that we don't share with anybody. But that's also a form of shutting it down, because part of spiritual growth and evolution is sharing with others that which is occurring. So how can you spot when this false story may be playing in your life? I invite you to just notice when you feel a nudge to express or share an aspect of your spirituality, but you hold yourself back because fear is popping up. And you can just simply notice what pops up when I say, I would love to share this really exciting aspect of my spirituality, but what comes up? For me, I think about, I would love to be sharing more of what I think is really going on in the world, what's happening behind the news headlines, but I fear being targeted. I really do. And, I think I already am a target in many ways. And I do think lightworkers are being targeted because the powers that be don't want these messages getting out there. And so I just need to be on a journey with that for myself, just like I'm inviting you to be on a journey with your fears, to release the fears as they pop up, feel the feels, breathe, release, and then ask your higher self, are you calling me to confront this fear? Because the way to confront fear is to both release the feelings of fear and then take the inspired action that your heart is calling you to take, but fear had previously been holding you back or shutting you down. So in my case, I need to start sharing some of these things I'm feeling called to share, but there is also divine timing. There's the divine timing to when it's time to confront our fears. So I am very much right now in the process of feeling the feels, breathing, releasing, and being in a hyper connection to my higher self with the question of when is it time? When is it time to share what with whom? Because not everybody is going to like our spiritual gifts or want it or need it, but we all have our people. And our people need what we have to share on a soul level. So we all have what it is we're feeling called to share, when we're feeling called to share it, and with whom. And the only way to find that alignment is through this exploration, starting with what is the false story that I'm playing in my head? What variation of I need to shut it down am I playing to myself? And then how can I really get into the true story of it's time to let it all out? And so, yes, maybe there is some divine timing for you, but the idea behind letting it all out is it's time for me to stop shutting it down and start fully connecting so I can let in and invite in all of my soul power. My invitation for you this week is to explore into where you might be shutting it down. Identify the false story you may be telling yourself. See if you can dig up the subtle stories. Identify the emotions that are triggered when these thoughts feel true. Feel the feels, breathe, and release. And then go to your heart space. Go to your higher self and ask, what part of my spiritual soul power are you calling me to express in service to those you are calling me to serve? And before you know it, you'll be letting it all out, all your power, all your gifts, all your service and transformation, all your ability to lift up humanity at just the right time, to just the right people, in just the right way. All right, my dear ones, that's a wrap for this week. I'll be back in your inbox next week with part 3 of our powerful series, Rewriting the Stories of Who We Truly Are. And as always, until next time, may your soul guide the way.